Welcome back to the channel, guys, and in today's video we are going to feature a team that I started using and probably used it for a couple of days before I started getting hard counted. So the team which I'm talking about is Armored Mewtwo, Scrafty and Nidoqueen. So how this team works is it's not a typical ABB or the usual lines which I run, and I like this team in particular because Armored Mewtwo is a very bulky Pokemon and it has neutral matchup against a lot of stuff in the meta at the moment. Plus, it's the only viable Confusion user in this particular game, and with all the you can say Charmers, Lapras, and Nidoqueens running around, I think it makes up for a decent thing. And the other thing that I like about Armored Mewtwo is there is nothing, and I mean nothing in the meta that can one-shot an Armored Mewtwo. So you can do safely no shield on a few things as well, and even a Shadow Ball from Jellicent does not KO. So yeah, Armored Mewtwo is a very strong Pokemon and it's backed by my two Excel Pokemons which I built this season. It consists of Scrafty and a Nidoqueen as well. So Nidoqueen I've kept it in the back because of all the Charmers that are running around in the meta at the moment. Plus, Scrafty is there for the dark types like Snarl, Mandibus and the Drapions. Also, we do have Galarian Stunfisk, which is very common. So it depends on the lead and how I like to play in a certain matchups which you will see. So before we start with the battles, if you're new to the channel and you like our content, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you're already subscribed to the channel, a big thanks to all of you. Also, if you want to join the Battlestar Discord server, the link to that is in the description down below. So I'll be hosting a tournament on my Discord server, so if you're interested in that, make sure to check out my Discord channel as well. So without further delays, let's start with the battles and see how the battle goes. So let's start with the first battle of the day, and I have led into the Alolan Ninetales. So ideally I would have liked to see this in front of the Nidoqueen, but that's fine. Armored Mewtwo does not have a bad matchup, and the good news is that it's a Powder Snow variant, so the matchup becomes slightly better because Ice Strikes and Confusion will eventually add up, whereas Alolan Ninetales would need to have Dazzling Gleam in order to hurt us. So we are able to shield the Dazzling Gleam perfectly, and they made a swap into Stunfisk. And this is the thing that I've seen or observed with the Alolan Ninetales lead is that they would want to draw out your Scrafty, and then they would have something which is weak to Scrafty. So I guess this is probably the first time that I was playing up against such team, but later on I observed that a lot of people are using this kind of strategy, so that they draw out this Scrafty and then they have something which is weak to Scrafty in the back. So we have shielded the Earthquake correctly, but we are out of shields at this moment, and I shielded the Earthquake because Scrafty is already a very boosted, and since they are not running Charm but Powder Snow, they will need some time to get to the charge move, which they don't even get to, and they are coming in with Scrafty of their own. So they were drawing out our fighter, and now that we have made the swap to the Nidoqueen, they just realized they cannot win and quit the game. So yeah, good one. Moving on to the next one, picking up a positive lead in the form of the Shadow Dragonite, but you definitely would have to watch out for the Dragon Breaths and the Dragon Claws because eventually they do start to add up, but the Dragonite is also taking a lot of damage from those confusions. So we will be able to get to the Side Strike, and I do not make any delays in throwing the charge move because Dragonite has started to put up a lot of damage and a lot of work as well. So I let go of my Armored Mewtwo here because otherwise I would have just gotten Dragon Breath down. And now I'll be coming in with not Alolan, but we will be coming in with Nidoqueen, and the opponent makes a swap to Shadow Politoed. So they are already rocking a double Shadow team. So it's just going to be a Weather Ball, so no need to shield this one, but definitely I go for surprisingly I go for the foul play. Maybe I don't want to yeah, I want to get rid of this Politoed as soon as I can, so going for this foul play. I'm not expecting them to shield. Maybe they'll be saving their shields for the Dragonite, but now that the foul play has landed, I can go for a power up punch and start ramping up my damage of my counters. So farming a bit of extra, which was very dangerous, and eventually Politoed got to a Weather Ball. Yeah, that was not good. So I banked the energy on Polito on the Scrafty and made the swap to Nidoqueen, and I think we both made swap at the same time. So Dragonite goes down. Let's see what they have in the back now. Fingers crossed a Charmer. So they have a Nidoqueen of their own. So definitely not good. But if I manage to get the bait, or not going for the bait, going straight for the Earth Power, but this is looking really difficult. I think this is the game that we will end up taking a loss in. So since it's a shadow, I have to call the Earth Power. So we call the Earth Power, right, which my opponent did not, and this is perfect for me because now we will be able to Poison Fang them, which they would want to shield. And since I had residual energy on my Scrafty, I can just come in with it and go for the charge move. This is just going to be a Poison Fang since they did not bait, and now the Politoed was down. So yeah, calling the bait was really essential and good games. Moving on to the next one, and we are in a G-Fisk lead. So this is a neutral lead in my opinion, but Earthquake will do a lot of damage, but the opponent makes a catch, and I was not at a dynamic one, so they caught a side strike regardless. And since I have a good answer to what was that thing, to Galarian Stunfisk in the back in the form of Scrafty, I caught a Shadow Ball, which is quite neat because now this Jellicent is in the farm down range for not in the farm down range, but in the range for a foul play. This might just be a Bubble Beam. Yeah, so they are rocking Bubble Beam and Shadow Ball, which most of the Jellicents are running in the meta. So we go for this foul play and not expecting them to shield, but Jellicent survives barely and will be able to get to another Bubble Beam, which is not good because now I probably will not get a chance to just bring the counter damage to neutral, but they have a Alolan Ninetales in the back, and this is good for me. I think the alignment was really perfect because now I'll be able to make a swap to Nidoqueen of my own and start debuffing this Alolan Ninetales. So we go for the first Poison Fang, which does not get shielded, which is fine with me because now I think I'll be able to farm them down. So not going for the shield, just a Weather Ball, which XL Nidoqueen can survive very easily. So we go for this charge, we shield this charge move and hope we are able to farm down this Nidoqueen. Sorry, this Ninetales. So we are able to farm down the Ninetales, which is quite good. And let's see, I was expecting them to bring in Jellicent so that I throw my energy, which I obviously did not. So going for this Poison Fang straight away now, just to lower their defense, and I probably will not get to another one, but we are able to get to another one, and this probably will seal the game because double debuffed what is this thing? Double debuffed Galarian Stunfisk up against pretty decently healthy Mewtwo. I think we are looking good. So we don't shield the Earthquake, which is not good because now they potentially can go for double Rock Slide in order to knock us out. So maybe at some point I need to catch. So yeah, this is going to be Rock Slide, which I let go because since they are double debuffed, I can come in with my Scrafty and start continue to do damage with those counters. So it's just going to be another Rock Slide, but I shielded regardless because I have to invest a shield somewhere. So we go for this Para Punch, and this Para Punch will be doing some decent damage, but they shielded this. But since the Galarian Stunfisk was double debuff, we are able to counter them down for a very good games. Moving on to the next one, and we are in a Surface Lead, so pretty good lead for Armored Mewtwo, and in comes the Magnezone, and this is where I made a big mistake that I did not swap into Nidoqueen. I definitely should have gone into that because Magnezone cannot really do much against Nidoqueen, whereas Wild Charge onto Scrafty will eventually hurt. So we don't shield the first charge move, and it ends up being a Wild Charge, and I think I tapped onto the Para Punch there, so I would have to shield this Wild Charge in order to maintain the switch. I really did not had to, but since the opponent invested one shield, I invested a shield of my own just to get even on it. And ideally, ideally I should have come in with Nidoqueen, but my thought process behind that was that Nidoqueen has a better matchup against Surfaced as well. So why not? But yeah, and you'll see why I was talking. What I was talking and the reason behind this. So it's going to be Night Slash, which we don't shield. Obviously, don't shield the first one, and they have a Giratina in the back. So So I think we had a perfect alignment initially towards the start of the game, but only if I had swapped into Nidoqueen instead of Scrafty, I think we pretty much would have hard countered my opponent. So we catch this Shadow Ball onto the Nidoqueen, and I go for this Poison Fang because I wanted to debuff the Giratina before throwing the Earth Power, and this is probably where I made this mistake, because now you'll see what happens. So I am totally expecting them to make a sack swap, and that's exactly what they do, and they did do a brilliant catch. I think this was their win con, and this was my lose con, and this is the only game that I lost in this particular set. So yeah, very well played from my opponent's side, and not a very good play from my side. But yeah, it is what it is. GG's. Moving on to the next one, picking up a decent lead in the form of in the form of the Lapras, and ideally I would have liked to pair the Lapras against the Scrafty, but we do have access to Dynamic Punch, which will do a lot of decent amount of damage to this Lapras. So Lapras will not shield the charge move, and now it's potentially an Ice Beam, not a Skull Bash, but they go for Surf. So we will be throwing yeah, it's just a Surf now. There is no way that they get to a harder hitting move, so we don't need to shield. I typically don't invest a shield in Armored Mewtwo, but in comes their Sylveon, and maybe it's a double charm, so I do need to watch out for this. And as soon as I saw Sylveon swap in, in my head the bell went like it's a double charm, so you need to preserve your Nidoqueen. So I'm investing double shield onto the Nidoqueen and going 2 shields down, just because I'm predicting that they have a double charm. And since they come in with Lapras, and this made my belief rather true. So we go for this Poison Fang straight away, so that I can simply kill this Lapras or grab their last shield. So I take this move onto the Scrafty. And there not a Charmer, and it's a Roserade. So my guess was wrong, but yeah, I think it's even better, because Roserade will be taking decent amount of damage with those foul plays, as Roserade is not a very bulky Pokemon and they are weak to Mewtwo as well. So we are able to throw this last minute power up punch. Not, yeah, it's a power up punch. Sorry, I'm just a bit lost. And Roserade is already almost down, and I come in with Nidoqueen just so that in case they throw a Leaf Storm, but it's just a Weather Ball. So if they would have thrown Leaf Storm, they would not be able to knock out our Mewtwo, and the Lapras will just go down to the confusion. So yeah, good games. And I think this is the part where I get a 4-1. Yep, so getting a 4-1 and moving on to the next set, and we are in a Jellicent Lead. So a negative lead for Armored Mewtwo, but it's not as bad unless your opponent is able to sneak in a Hex, or if they manage to get under you a bait, Bubble Beam bait. So they let go of the first Ice Strike, and this indicates to me that they will not be throwing a Bubble Beam, and they end up throwing a Shadow Ball. But as you can see, it's still Mewtwo takes the Shadow Ball pretty comfortably, and this time it's going to be just a Bubble Beam. So or they go for a Shadow Ball, which is quite surprising. So maybe they are running Ice Beam and a Shadow Ball. So we go for this Ice Strike, and they end up shielding this. But since they were able to sneak in a Hex, we will go down. And I think if they would not have sneaked in that Hex, I strongly believe that we would have been able to win that one. So they go for the Bubble Beam. So they were rocking Bubble Beam and Shadow Ball. So the next Shadow Ball didn't really make any sense. So yeah, what I mean to say, the second Shadow Ball onto the Mewtwo did not make sense. So the Scrafty will go for Power Punch, and they are not swapping out. So maybe they are running a Charmer in the back, because Jellicent needs coverage against Dark types. So maybe the first coverage of them against the Dark types is Scrafty, and the other one is a Charmer. So whenever I'm playing Ultra League Remix, I am very worried about the Charmers in the back. So that's the reason I have kept Nidoqueen as my backup Pokemon. So we are able to Poison Fang down the the Scrafty, and in comes the Jellicent. Hope it's not a Shadow Ball. I don't think they. So they go for a Bubble Beam, and this draws out their Charmer now. So this, since Poison Fangs and Poison Jabs are very strong moves, we will be able to get to the next Poison Fang before the Alolan Ninetale gets to a Weather Ball. So now we make a swap because Scrafty is fairly healthy, and since they are debuffed twice, I think we will start. If we start ramping up our counter damage, we will be able to knock out the Alolan Ninetales. Barely not able to, but we can survive one. We can survive one Weather Ball. I don't think we do. No, definitely we don't survive a Weather Ball at this range. So ideally, I could have should have really stayed in that matchup or potentially tried to catch a Weather Ball. But I think in that particular matchup, what I did was I didn't know the count of how much charms it takes to get to a Weather Ball. I just remembered the not poison, but the powder snow one, that it takes 5 powder snows, and I just thought it would take 5 charms as well. But it takes 5 powder snows and 6 charms to get to a Weather Ball, and that's where I got miscalculated. But yeah, it is what it is. And commenting to this particular game, so we are in a Drapion matchup, and if we manage to get off the Earth Bar and land it, we will be looking pretty good. We will be looking in a pretty good spot. So not farming a lot of extra energy, but just buy one Poison Fang. So not Fang, but Poison Jab. So now we make a swap to Scrafty, and we are able to counter down the Drapion, and in comes the Galvantula. So this indicates to me that they have something weak to Scrafty in the back. And now that they have shielded this thing, I am pretty sure that they have something weak to Scrafty. So they'll probably go for a lunge here just to lower my attack. And it ends up being a lunge. So lunge is neutral onto the Scrafty because of the fighting as well as the dark typing. I go for the charge move because I was not sure of the energy the Galvantula had. So they have a Politoed in the back, and since our attack was lowered, my first priority is to get my attack back to normal as soon as I can. So going for this Para Punch, which obviously did not do anything onto the Politoed. So we will need to take this not poison, but the Weather Ball damage onto the Scrafty. But now I tried to make a swap, but actually that did not happen. So we will be throwing this this Para Punch, and now we will be making the swap to Nidoqueen. But this Politoed is so low at this stage, I can just Poison Fang down, or maybe go for an Earth Bar as well. Let's see what I decide to do. So yeah, we will be shielding these Weather Balls. I think we can survive one Weather Ball as well. So I survive this Weather Ball, and we will be able to get to what do we call it? Get to this Earth Bar, and this Earth Bar will definitely be able to knock out the Politoed. So yeah, a good win. GG's. Moving on to the next one, and we are in a Nidoqueen matchup. So positive lead, and in comes Snarl Mandibus. So Snarl Mandibus has a losing matchup against a Scrafty. So even though they'll go for Aerial Ace, but Scrafty will be continuing ramping up their counter damage, and eventually will be able to eventually win. Because Snarls are double resisted, and the counters as well as Para Punches are neutral. Whereas the Aerial Ace coming in from Mandibus will be doing super effective damage, but Aerial Ace is a very crappy move. So the Mandibus has started to put some decent amount of damage, but since my Scrafty is a pretty good rank, we will be able to survive this Aerial Ace comfortably, and we will be able to throw another Para Punch. And the Mandibus will need to throw if they want to knock us out, otherwise we will be able to counter them down, or potentially get to a Para Punch as well. Let's see what happens. So I don't take any risk because I have already invested a shield, and I don't want to lose this matchup against the Nidoqueen. So my opponent shields as well, and we are able to counter down. So this puts us in a very positive spot because we have maintained the switch advantage, and they have their own Scrafty in the back. So the matchup is I think the game is pretty much over at this stage because we will be able to throw this Poison Fang and continue to lower their defense. Whereas now we don't need to shield the first charge move, so they go for this foul play and it barely do anything to the Nidoqueen. In the Ultra League, I think Nidoqueen and both Nidoqueen and Scrafty are decently bulky, so we do not need to shield anything. Even if I don't think it will knock out, but even if it does, we will simply come in with Mewtwo and farm down. Whereas we farm them down now and we throw this Poison Fang, and once their defense is lowered, I think the armored Mewtwo can simply confusion down with yeah, can simply confusion down. So I don't shield the first charge move, because anyway it's not going to do that much damage, and we can simply confusion down and my opponent realize and quit the game. So yeah, GG's. Moving on to the next one, and we are in an Excadrill lead. So this is not a good lead for Armored Mewtwo, because Excadrill is very spammy with those drill runs and eventually does outpaces Mewtwo. And let's see, so they go for, yeah, obviously they'll go for the drill run, and at this stage they are able to make a very good catch onto their Mandibus, and it's a Snarl Mandibus. So I was like, oh no, it's an Air/1. So I swapped into my Nidoqueen because Scrafty loses to Air/Mandibus, and I do need Scrafty for that Excadrill. So Nidoqueen, not Nidoqueen, but Mandibus is already in the yellow. So Nidoqueen does have a pretty decent matchup against the Mandibus. So we will continue to lower their defense with the Poison Fangs, and I think at some stage I will eventually shield and look to farm down. So yeah, I shield this foul play, and it will be interesting to see if I am able to farm down or not, which I'm not able to, and the opponent makes a really good snipe of their Excadrill, and at this stage I don't think yeah, I think they'll be having an answer to a fighter in the back, so maybe they have a ghost type. So not particularly in a good point, because their Mandibus is still very healthy, and since they are running Air Slash, they have a Nidoqueen of their own. So it's looking really difficult, but still not over. But yeah, I think at this stage the game is pretty much more or less over at this stage, because the main thing of this particular game is that their Mandibus is decently healthy, and even though we'll go for the side strike, they can simply shield, because confusions will not do a lot of damage, and we have only one shield, so they can simply double up on their foul plays and knock us out with their and if once the Mewtwo is down, the Scrafty will not be able to do anything against their Nidoqueen. So yeah, as I said, they'll simply double shield their Mandibus and knock out our Mewtwo, and once the Mewtwo is down, I don't think Scrafty will even get to the Nidoqueen. Oh, it does. So but yeah, Nidoqueen is just really powerful. So I think this is a 3-2 set. I've lost the first matches video, but it is what it is. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time, peace.